It's another episode of Running Rampant on BronxNet in association with Fordham Athletics, presented by United Healthcare. Emmanuel Berbari back with you. College basketball is right around the corner. We hope to update you on how Fordham Athletics is continuing to manage the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll have a great lineup of guests for you today. WFUV's Jimmy Sullivan sits down with volleyball senior McKenna Lahr. Women's basketball head coach Stephanie Gaitley debuts her new segment, Coach G's Corner. And we'll get an inside look of the day-to-day activities of an athletic trainer today from assistant athletic trainer Allie Griffin. We'll also wrap up with another alumni conversation. WFUV alum Mike Watts catches up with men's basketball's Jean Prelo. Now, as we always start, here's an update from Interim Director of Athletics, Ed Cole. Welcome back. It's another edition of our AD Update. Emmanuel Berbari, joined by Fordham Interim Director of Athletics, Ed Cole. Ed, thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Manny. Thanks for having me. As always, great to see you. Great to catch up with you.
So, Ed, the first bit of news is the first positive test for a basketball program at Fordham coming from the men's basketball coaching staff. How has that impacted things, and how is everything looking in terms of the basketball programs?
Yeah, so obviously, always disappointing news, and obviously our challenges in our world today, Manny, as we deal with the COVID and the pandemic crisis. It was a topic and a question that came up to me quite often over the last 3 months. We were fortunate enough to go 90 days for our entire athletic department not to have a positive test. That's 535 student athletes. That's 150 staff members. And unfortunately, we had our first here last week in terms of a staff member. We've actually had a few staff members test positive now, so we're at 3 staff members total. And it's caused a quarantine need for our men's basketball program. And that's a 14-day quarantine based on Fordham, New York State, NCAA, and A10 guidelines. So we'll look to get our team and our student athletes back on the men's basketball court. I believe it's November 12th in terms of the ability to start practice again. And tough time to have that occur. Tough time for any of our student athletes. We've done an extensive contact tracing protocol. We continue to modify and revise all of our COVID guidelines, work very, very closely with University Health and Services and their testing protocol and their quarantine protocol, and continue to monitor and protect the rest of our department and staff in terms of any concerns or any continued contagiousness.
You mentioned the tough time to have it happen. Teams were practicing, gearing up for the start of the basketball season, the non-conference schedule. What is the timeline looking like as we gear up for November 25th?
Yeah, a little more difficult for basketball. Men, obviously men's and women's, in terms of them being in season right now, to have to cancel 14 practices for them prior to the start of their season on November 25th is difficult, unusual, as is 2020 in terms of this. But, hopefully allow our team to have almost 2 weeks of practice prior to November 25th. The men will open up with Iona. Our women's basketball team will open up at Stony Brook. And, I think we're all looking for and craving some normalcy and to actually have competitions back here. But there's extensive protocols that go into that. So the A10 continues to modify their regulations. We've established a testing protocol for referees and officials, as well as established Tier 1 protocol all around the actual inner program. Tier 2 in terms of the event, and Tier 3 as well. So different protocols are being set up for the actual event management as well as the travel of these basketball teams. So we're very much on top of it in terms of the health and safety of our student athletes.
Ed, coming up December 1st, it's Giving Day at Fordham in the athletic department. What are some of the upcoming programs you can detail for Fordham Athletics?
I appreciate you asking that, Manny. And revenue generation and fundraising are near and dear to me in terms of my background and the importance of helping our athletics department. We have a real strong handful of mini campaigns going on for Giving Day, which falls in actually December, which is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So that's the big shopping Friday, Cyber Monday, and then Giving Tuesday, Manny. And it's something that we've done the last 3 years since I've been here in terms of the National Giving Day. It's been a huge success for athletics, and we expect it to be even bigger moving forward. Each of our athletic and varsity teams, as well as our club teams and some mini capital projects, all have a specific development plan and strategic execution calendar against them. So we're really excited. Kara Field has done a great job overseeing this and managing it. along with Allie, Griffin, and Jordan Bowles, as well as the support of the entire DAUR team. But we're hopeful for a real good turnout and a lot of support. So please, I appreciate you continuing to support that and share that message.
Ed, appreciate the time, and thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Manny. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you soon.
A big thanks, as always, to Ed, and we hope the Fordham athletics community continues to stay safe. Up next, WFUV's Jimmy Sullivan sits down with Fordham volleyball senior McKenna Lahr to discuss how the volleyball team is staying active in practice when they typically be wrapping up a season right now. Let's get to know a Ram.
Welcome back to Running Rampant. It's time to get to know a Ram, and this week we're getting to know McKenna Lahr, senior outside hitter on the Fordham volleyball team. McKenna, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing really well. Really excited to be here right now.
Good to be with you, and I have to ask, because it is November, this is about the time your team would have been finishing up the season. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy in this time when you normally would have still been having some matches right now?
Yeah, so essentially we're treating this time as our off season, practicing every day. We have lift a couple times a week, really just trying to build on that inclusivity of the team that we kind of missed out on during summer session and preseason. And so a lot of this time is spent on working to kind of build up our skills and refine our skills so that we're ready to go next year when we hopefully have a spring season.
And you talk about, being on the team and stuff like that. How impressed have you been with the way the team has handled it? Because it's obviously a tough situation for everybody right now.
Yeah, I think our team has done really well. We have built such a strong support system within our team, and that's really important, especially with our coaches, hoping that they can kind of understand what we're going through, as this time has put a lot of strain on everyone mentally. So really building that support system and being there for each other and understanding has been kind of our goal throughout this weird and stressful time. And I think we've done a really good job at doing that for each other.
Moving on from weird and stressful, as you said, we're getting to know you in this segment. I want to backtrack a little bit through your career. You've been a very accomplished player at Fordham. You were a very accomplished player back in high school. I want to know from you, how did you get into the sport, playing volleyball and eventually getting very good at it?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I played a little bit of recreational volleyball in middle school. I was also playing soccer at the time. And so my main sport throughout those early years was soccer. And then I kind of made the transition from soccer to volleyball. When I did have a bit more experience, I started playing club volleyball. That refined my skills a lot more. And then it wasn't until high school that I really picked up and quit soccer and just kept going with volleyball. I switched clubs, which really helped me to get better. I had a lot better competition to play against, coaches, teammates. Just the level of play that I was experiencing really increased. And then that kind of led me on this trajectory to get into college and be at Fordham.
And you talk about going to Fordham and going to college to play volleyball. What made you decide on Fordham when you were choosing a college?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it comes down to not only the volleyball aspect, but also the academic aspect, the location of where we are. I think it is amazing to be in the location that we are in the Bronx. And I was really excited to come in and kind of help transform the program. Seeing how they did in the past, I really wanted to be a part of a team that was going to experience new achievements, new successes as they went along. And that was something that was really important for me. And I love seeing where we were when I was a freshman to where we are now and how much we've grown and how much better we've gotten.
And then finally, McKenna, before we let you go, over these past 4 years, what has been your favorite part of being part of this Fordham volleyball program?
I say this all the time. Last year, actually, we played against George Washington on the road, and it was one of our last weekends with our seniors. And we came back from being down 14-11 in the fifth set and won. It was crazy. We had so many family members there, the whole team, after such a long, really tough season being on the road for that long stretch in the beginning. It was just a really nice way to finish out the season with our seniors who had worked so hard. And I will always remember that as being one of my favorite memories being here at Fordham.
There you have it. McKenna Lahr from the Fordham volleyball team. McKenna, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you to Jimmy and McKenna for that insight. This next segment is brand new and expected to be a fixture on the show. Fordham women's basketball head coach Stephanie Gaitley debuts Coach G's Corner, where she'll interview different fixtures of the Ramilly. This week, she catches up with former women's basketball A10 champion and her current director of basketball operations, Abigail Corning. Take it away, Coach Gaitley.
I'm here with one of my all-time favorites, in Abigail Corning. Abigail, first thing before we get started is, what was your favorite and least favorite thing during, the pandemic?
I would say my favorite thing was some quality time with my loved ones. Being able to work from anywhere and get home and be able to spend some quality time with the people we love. My least favorite thing was not being able to be social and just having to be really cautious about everything we were doing. And obviously remembering your mask just to make sure we were being safe.
Well, if we're on the social aspect of it, and speaking of loved ones, you're engaged.
Yes, I am.
And tell us a little bit about Megan.
Oh, Megan's great. Actually met her at one of my former jobs, and she always wanted to be in New York, and I always wanted to be in New York, and it kind of just worked out for the two of us to be able to start our lives together. And there were some delays in ring production, but the pandemic couldn't stop us from making it happen. So hopefully COVID will be solved so we can have a wedding sometime soon.
Any dates?
Nothing planned yet. We're just trying to wait things out and not put money down.
Megan knows basketball season, right?
She knows. She understands. I told her right up, this is how it goes. Yeah. But she's flexible. She's super supportive, always in the stands. So shout out to her.
Well, given a little background, when I took over the Fordham program, I inherited, Abigail, and oh my God. I say, I've been a coach for 35 years, so it's a long time, but we were going through our workouts, and I remember walking into the office and saying, she works harder in an hour workout by herself with the coach than anybody I've ever seen. Is that something that was instilled early on you, or is that something you learned?
I feel like it came from within, just from the love of the game and wanting to always be the best that I could. I also realized I wasn't going to be the quickest or the tallest person out there, but I could work the hardest. And I give a lot of credit to my family and my parents for always showing me how to work hard and showing me how to do things the right way. And I feel like I just carried that over onto the court.
And it helps having three brothers to beat you up.
It definitely does. Yeah, they gave me that competitive edge. We taught me how to hate to lose and how to always want to win and everything. How to get up when you get knocked down, all of those things.
Well, then it goes on, and you're part of our first ever Atlantic 10 championship. Abigail was the MVP of the conference tournament. What was that like?
It was great. I mean, that first year was an emotional year for everybody. And, I tell a lot of people I wouldn't have really stayed around if it wasn't for you and the staff that came in and really taught us how to treat people and to build something special. And in those little victories, we knew that we were putting together a nice run. Almost got it in 2013 and had a core group that came back in 2014. And just that feeling when the buzzer goes off and you won the ring, it's just like I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
I am too.
Yeah.
It's right behind us.
There's nothing like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously you were a big part of that. You were a core part of that and one of our captains. And then you go off and you do your internship and work at Fairfield. And then you and I meet and you talk about the avenue you want to get to your ultimate goal. Take us through that.
Yeah. I had a great experience working in sports marketing and was able to get my master's degree. But you had always been a mentor to me too, both on and off the court. So conversations, you never know where they would lead. Hey, coach, what do you think? You know the industry. And I was fortunate enough to take this role and be able to see a glimpse of what it's like to be on a coaching staff, get interactions with people all throughout administration, compliance, academics, and really kind of hopefully continue to build my resume towards an administrative role.
Yeah, because Abigail's our director of basketball ops, but I know you did a great job during the pandemic of kind of reaching out with people in the area of athletics, because I think one of your goals may be to be an athletic director.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, I'm toying with the idea of what I want my full career to be. It kind of changes, but I can see myself sitting in a chair upstairs, being an administrator, and really just continuing to give the student athletes the best experience they can.
Well, I can just tell you, Abigail, I don't ever want you to leave because I always wanted 15 Abigails, but I know whatever field you choose, you're going to be great. I'm super proud of you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
Go Rams.
Thanks to Coach Gaitley and Abigail Corning. We look forward to the great guests you'll continue to have on Coach G's Corner. Now we have assistant athletic trainer Allie Griffin. She'll take us through her day-to-day duties as an athletic trainer in Division I college athletics.
My name is Alexandra Griffin. I go by Allie, and I am one of the assistant athletic trainers in the sports medicine office. Whew. Well, it depends. We have started a number of initiatives to help combat COVID-19 coronavirus. So today, my day started at 5:50 in the morning to make sure I'm here at 7 to help with taking temperatures in our temp check booth. Okay, so in the morning I'll have a standing appointment at 8:15. I will have a one-on-one interaction to do rehabilitation. Any calf tightness and hamstring tightness that you're feeling? No. Oh, it's a miracle.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Okay, so we're about to do some scraping for one of our women's basketball players because she had an ACL sprain, and now we're working on maintenance for her hamstrings and her calves. Fortunately, with a grade 1 sprain, she's fully recovered, has all her strength. We're just making sure her range of motion is solid. So majority of my job is preventative measures. If I could keep you from getting injured in any kind of way, that is my goal. So pre-practice treatments may include taping people, but majority of it is having the athlete warm up, having them foam roll, do some dynamic warm-ups that they need to, even before the dynamic warm-up that they do with strength and conditioning. As sports medicine staff, we collaborate a lot with strength and conditioning on preventative measures. I'm doing a lot of prep for the student athletes. If I have to do an evaluation quickly, I'll be doing that as well. One time in at practice, if it's a great day, no one's injured, no one dies, you know, I'm just doing administrative notes or I'm working through rehab with someone. Down. Come back up. A little bit more. And then afterwards is, again, standing appointments, whether I'm doing evaluations. If I'm setting someone up on a modality like cupping or E-stem, I may be doing manual therapy on someone for post-practice treatments. We have our whirlpools up and running, so there's plenty of student athletes that come in and out of our athletic training room to do that as well. And that is hands-off for me. So we have an appointment system that works wonderfully for mitigating our traffic flow in the room and making sure that we don't have too many people in at one time. Probably one of my favorite things about being an athletic trainer here at Fordham is that we have a big sports medicine staff. So there are plenty of opportunities where I can learn from my coworkers and they can learn from me. We help support each other. If somebody has a family emergency or has too many athletes in at one time, we're constantly helping each other get through our days, constantly supporting each other. We're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other. I get to work with a phenomenal staff for both of my sports, as well as a phenomenal staff for sports medicine. I feel this year, especially with all of the changes with COVID-19, had a lot of support from administration, with things coming out in terms of social justice issues. I'm a part of a task force for Fordham, and it's been a huge help in starting these conversations and getting these conversations happening in our department. So really, I'm always used to constantly talking to people as a part of a job being in service. But this year I've been able to branch out and get to know a lot of different people around the department, make this Fordham family a lot smaller. Instead of seeming like I'm in a department of 90, I feel like I'm in an apartment with my family. So that's my favorite part, the collaboration.
Thanks, Allie, for that sneak peek into the life of a trainer. Next, FUV alum Mike Watts catches up with Ramley legend Jean Prelo to discuss his memorable moments in a Fordham men's basketball jersey, winning Patriot League titles, and his extensive coaching career. Mike?
Jean Prelo is a two-time Patriot League champion, Fordham Hall of Famer in the class of 1992. His penchant for big shots remains legendary, one of the most notable performers in the extensive history of the Rose Hill Gym. And after 18 years as an assistant coach and a professional career playing basketball, he enters now his fourth season as the head coach at San Jose State University. Coach Prelo is catching up with the Ramley. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me.
Coach, let's go all the way back to the very beginning. You were born in New York City. You grew up in New Jersey. Tell me about your Fordham experience as a guy who grew up in the metro area coming into the Bronx.
Yeah, wow, you know, times have changed a lot since that time period. Basketball, not that it's not hot in New York City, but back then when I was coming up, I mean, it was the mecca of basketball. I mean, Mark Jackson, Pearl Washington, Kenny Smith, you know, the list goes on and on with guards coming out of the area and out of the metro area, and even out of New Jersey as well. So, you know, it was a great time, and you know, I was lucky enough that I was recruited by several schools, and Fordham was one of them. And, you know, it was a great opportunity for me to stay close to home and play amongst friends, play in Madison Square Garden. That was a big allure for me at the time. And I think for most up and coming basketball players in the metro area. So, and the most importantly was the education.
You mentioned your son. You and I were flipping emails back and forth before we spoke. And a couple weeks ago, a video of Mike Breen using what's now a famous call, bang, to describe your game winner against Seton Hall. And you were saying, I'd love to show my son the one on ESPN against Holy Cross in the Patriot League tournament. Do you find it's interesting because you don't look like you graduated in 92, but it was a while ago, trying to explain to your son, like, yo, I was a baller.
Yeah. I mean, at 9 years old right now, yeah, his guys are James. You know, my guy was Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? So everyone's got different eras and different heroes and things of that nature. But, you know, that time period, that year was a very special year for Fordham. That might have been our best year and our best team, I think, in my time there. However, that wasn't the team that went to the NCAA tournament. So, you know, that year with all of those shots, and, you know, there were several of them that year. It's amazing how one shot, and I'm so glad that I am on Twitter, because I'm not really a tweet guy, but you know what, in this day and age, you have to be in social media. You have to do those things. And someone referenced my Twitter handle. So obviously I caught wind of it and I saw it and I was like, wow, you know, and it brought me back to that time period. And I was like, you know, I was just looking at that and I'm like, it's amazing how one shot, but then again, several shots that year made such an impact on the kids at the school, people associated with the university, and then how it made people feel in society, and how sports can really help people in all walks of life. It can bring them together, it can heal them, make them feel good, and I got all of that just in that one, you know, that one snippet of video. And it was just amazing. So I tweeted out whatever I tweeted out, but you know, it was in all good intentions.
Jean, you end up getting one shining moment out of winning the Patriot League, and one of the notable kind of you know, big matchups in Fordham history to me is facing Coach Cal in UMass. in the NCAA tournament. But describe kind of the feeling of having all the lights of college basketball shining on you as an individual, as a player, and your team and the university.
So that was a really, really big accomplishment for us. Our group coming in, we wanted to make it to the NCAA tournament. That particular year, our team wasn't great. It wasn't as good as the year before, which was when all those shots were made, which is what I just referenced. But during that year, our group knew that we were going to make it to the NCAA tournament. So when we did get there, that was the big accomplishment. Looking back on it and now being a coach for like 20 years, we as a group probably weren't ready to take the next step, which is, hey, let's win a game. Now, going into it, you're like, we're going to win. But we were just so excited of just getting there. To be honest with you, that was probably one of my worst games I've ever played. But, I'm an honest guy. I'm not going to fabricate stories. So, but it was a great moment in time. It was great that we played against Coach Cal. Just for history's sake, we actually played Coach Cal the year before in the NIT, because the team that I was talking about, and I made those shots in junior year and all that, that was a great team, but we didn't get to the NCAA tournament. We actually went to the NIT, and we lost to Coach Cal at our place. It was a great game. And it was so interesting that we happened to play them the next year, and we were in the NCAA tournament, and they were in the NCAA tournament.
Coach, I think, is a Fordham history buff to an extent. Being able to talk to you has been terrific. We were happy to have you as part of the Hall of Fame and the community at Fordham, and obviously wish you all the best at San Jose State, you and your family, and wish you good things in coming weeks as hopefully life begins to get a little bit back to normal with everything going on. Thanks for taking the time and catching up with the Ramley, Coach.
Guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for stopping by for another edition of Running Rampant, presented by United Healthcare. Thanks once again to our guests, McKenna Lahr, Abigail Corning, Allie Griffin, and Jean Prelo. And finally, thanks to everyone at BronxNet and Fordham Athletics who pitched in to make this episode possible. We'll see you in 2 weeks.